Hello everyone, it's your Peacekeeper, and it's time for the next video in our How to Play series on the German destroyer line. This is the Tier 6 Ernst Gaede, and the Ernst Gaede class of ships was actually not really a class, it was a design study for the Type 1934 destroyers, which would eventually become the Tier 7 Leibrecht Maas. And that line of ships, interestingly enough, named Z1 through Z4, they also had other names, and we'll cover that obviously when we get to Leibrecht Maas's video. But the Ernst Gaede's preliminary design basically began in 1932, and in spite of some limitations imposed by the Versailles Treaty that ended World War I, the Germans really had no intentions of adhering to those limitations. They were only supposed to be 800 long tons, which basically would have limited the ships to nothing short of a glorified patrol boat or torpedo boat, like PT boat, torpedo boat, not like the, V-25 torpedo boat. And they instead decided that they were going to design something that not only was way higher than that, but that would also contend with some of the destroyer escort-sized ships, as well as some of the light cruisers being employed, and thus Ernst Gaede would have actually had it been built as designed, 150mm main guns, and we do have that option in-game. And the interesting part about it is that while the ship never actually existed, that choice really isn't much of a choice in this game. So we're going to talk about that, and, why don't we just go ahead and segue right on into the in-game playstyle. Ernst Gaede is what the rest of the German destroyer line is going to be from here until Tier 10. And what I mean by that is, basically, you have very usable guns with rapid fire, for lack of a better phrase, torpedoes that have good usable range, good speed, good concealment, but low to below average damage, but with a quick reload time. And we also get the addition of hydroacoustic search to aid in our hunting down of enemy destroyers. Now, Ernst Gaede does also get a slightly different choice that only one other ship, which is the Z-23, gets, and that's the choice between a 150mm gun option or the 128mm gun option, basically choosing between a 5-inch gun and a 5.9-inch or 6-inch gun, basically. And the calculations for damage per minute comes out to being the 5-inch guns on Ernst Gaede have about a 400 DPM advantage over the 6-inch guns, the 150mm. However, the gun choice there really isn't as... I don't know, there's a difference here. That's assuming you're using HE only, and both the 5-inch and the 6-inch AP on Ernst Gaede is very usable at just about everything. And so what I have found is that in practice, the 150mm gun option is a little bit more well-rounded than the 5-inch gun option is, in spite of having a significantly longer reload time and a slightly lower, by about 400 DPS, slightly lower amount of overall damage per minute. And the AP is actually, at the 6-inch AP, is actually extremely useful at dealing with and dispatching the cruisers that are in the Ernst Gaede's matchmaking tree, and especially ships like the Phoenix, which you will not see really unless they fail division, but certainly the Omaha and the Furutaka can also be citadeled fairly easily, as well as the Royal Navy light cruisers. And that is actually a really good advantage for a destroyer to have, because it kind of evens out that battle between the cruisers and destroyers. So that's the reason why I've chosen the 150mm guns. Just know that if you are a bit uncomfortable with the aim on them, you can always switch to the faster firing 5-inch gun mounts, those 128mm gun mounts. Overall, though, you can use the hydro if you can get the enemy destroyer to deploy his smoke. You can use his smoke against him, which is awesome. The hydroacoustic search on Ernst Gaede has a ship detection range of basically 4 kilometers and 2.8 kilometers for torpedoes. So at 4 kilometers, you can engage an enemy destroyer fairly easily if he's sitting in his smoke. And this is a huge advantage. Huge advantage. And the addition of being able to detect, torpedoes at a much further distance allows the ship to be a very good escort destroyer as well, while also having its own set of torpedoes that it can launch back at the enemy and really take it out. Now, the ship is overall pretty quick, 36 knots without the speed flag. Throw the speed flag on there, goes up to, 38.5-ish, that range, plus throw on the speed boost, and you get a very quick destroyer. Its downside is it has a 690-meter turning circle radius, which is rather large for a Tier 6 ship, and a 4-second rudder shift time, which really isn't as bad as you would think. Certainly not enough to burn the rudder shift module upgrade over the engine upgrade, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But overall, this ship is a lot of fun to play. The torpedoes coming up as quick as they do with the quick reload, just 81 seconds means you can just pop off torpedoes like crazy. They do 13,700 damage, but they got 8-kilometer range. The ship itself is relatively stealthy at 6.6 kilometers. All of those things make for a very fun ship to play. So overall, I like Ernst Gaede, and it'll probably be my go-to Tier 6 destroyer for a very, very long time. Okay, so let's talk about some stats then. Ernst Gaede has 16,500 hit points, up to 16 millimeters of armor. The main battery, again, you have a choice between 128mm guns and 150mm guns. The stats on the 150 millimeters is 7.5 second reload time, 2200 HE shell damage, 12% fire chance, 3700 AP shell damage, 10.9 kilometer firing range. The 128s have a 5.1 second reload time, 1500 HE shell damage, only 6% fire chance. The AP shells lose 700 and go to 3000 damage, but there's really no change in the velocity of either of these over the other. So the 5-inch shells are moving at basically the same speed as the 6-inch shells are, and they have the same exact range at 10.9 kilometers. Of course, the difference being that the 128 millimeters, if you wanted to run advanced firing training for whatever reason, you could do that on Ernst Gaede, and it would allow you to do that. The torpedoes consist of 2 quad torpedo tube mounts. They have an 81-second reload time, 13,700 damage, 8-kilometer range, 1.3 kilometer detection range, and they go 65 knots, which is just moving in the water. AA defense is okay with 2 single 37mm flak guns, 4 quad 20mm flak Fearlings, and 4 single 20mm flak 38s. And it's okay. I'm not going to go out of my way to say that it's great, but it's just okay. And your 5-inch gun mounts do not change this. They don't become dual-purpose gun mounts. Max speed of 36 knots, 690-meter turning radius, 4-second rudder shift time. Detection range by sea of 6.6 kilometers and 3.9 by air. So not the stealthiest Tier 6 destroyer, but fairly stealthy. In terms of upgrades, I'm running Main Armaments Mod 1 for the 20% reduction in your main battery and torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated, as well as a 50% increase to the hit point pools of said main battery and torpedoes, as well as a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair them. In the second slot, I'm running Propulsion Systems Mod 1 for the 20% reduction in the risk of your engine being incapacitated, as well as a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair them. You could, if you had Engine Boost Mod 1 here, you could throw that on there for a 50% increase in the action time of your Engine Boost consumable. Or you could also run Steering Gears Mod 1 for basically the same thing as Propulsion Mod 1, except for your steering gears. Of these, I personally prefer running Propulsion Mod 1 if you don't have the Engine Boost Mod 1. Because this is a How to Play series, I'm not going to throw the Engine Boost Mod 1 on there. I'm going to put on Propulsion Mod 1 for you guys. By the way, in the first slot, the only other one I'd recommend is Magazine Mod 1 for the 70% reduction in the chance of your ship getting detonated. That's basically like a free det flag, even though it's not 100% reduction in the chance of getting detonated. In the third slot, I am running Aiming Systems Mod 1 for the 7% reduction in the dispersion of your main battery, as well as an increase of the traverse speed of your torpedo tubes by 20%. No real reason to run AA Guns Mod 2 on this, and your turrets turn quick enough that I don't think Main Battery Mod 2 is a good idea. I suppose you could run it if you really wanted to get up close and personal with enemy destroyers, but personally I'd rather keep the torpedoes around for those destroyers, or just flat out not getting those engagements if I can avoid it without enough support that I know I'm going to win it. In the fourth and final slot, I am running Propulsion Systems Mod 2, which increases your engine power when the ship starts moving. Basically, that's going to be in that -6 to 6 knot range, and a 50% reduction in the time it takes to reach full power while accelerating. Again, also in that -6 to 6 knot range. This just helps the ship when it's sitting in smoke. You can avoid torpedoes easier, you can get out of them easier, or if you're hiding behind an island, you can actually use this to get out there quicker. Now, I said we would talk about the 4-second rudder shift time and the reasons why I'm not running Steering Gears Mod 2. Steering Gears Mod 2, by the way, reduces your rudder shift time by an additional 20%. And this would drop it down to about 3.1, 3.2 seconds. And really, I don't find the rudder shift to be the problem with this destroyer. It does require a slight adjustment in your tactics when it comes to dealing with incoming torpedoes. But the 4-second rudder shift time really is not that big of a problem with a little bit of pre-planning on the ship because the rudder has particularly good effectiveness, meaning that your ship turns pretty well even at low rudder angles, so it doesn't take long for this ship to really change directions like some destroyers do with the 4-second rudder shift time. So I don't really see any reason to run Steering Gears Mod 2, and I think Propulsion Mod 2 is a better option overall. So that's our upgrades. Let's quickly look at our consumables. Of course, we have Repair Party, Damage Control Party. We have Smoke, Speed Boost, and that Hydroacoustic Search, which again starts off at basically 4 kilometers to detect enemy ships, as well as 2.8 for the torpedoes. Alright, that's enough of me blabbing about it in the port. Let's go look at it in a battle video. Alright, so Ernst Gaede, being in Tier 6, kind of suffers from some of the problems that other Tier 6 destroyers have, which is that it sees a lot of Tier 8 fights. In this case, we actually managed to get into a Tier 5 through 7 match, which actually is only a 6 and 7 match. Nope, there's an 8. I lied, it's a 6 through 8 match. Go figure, but the only Tier 8s in this are a Hipper and a Chapayev. Now, Chapayev actually has radar, so that's a ship that we definitely need to pay attention to, but we have a Belfast on our team to kind of help balance it out. Overwhelmingly, though, this match, the biggest news and the best news in this is that they have lots of juicy battleships to engage, including some that prefer to stay in a bow-oriented configuration. Map is Two Brothers, and we got, obviously, 2 choices in which way we can go. On this map, I found that it really doesn't matter which way you go. Just a quick look at the destroyers on the team. We've got a Shiratsuyu off to the east, Akatsuki, and Eigel to the west. And as a result, we're going to go and assist Shiratsuyu over at the D-Cap. The D-Cap does have a couple of interesting places in which a destroyer can effectively engage enemy ships with torpedoes as well as with guns, and so it's actually a very effective place to go. And this map actually really does well with destroyer gameplay as a result of the large open areas and where a large number of battleships are going to be generally pushing bow on, but you've got plenty of good angles, like from where I'm at, to shooting into the decap without really too much in the way of enemy shipping getting in the way. One other thing to keep in mind is that while the ship does have 8-kilometer torpedoes, its detection range is also 6.6 kilometers. So not a huge stealth fire window there. Plenty of practice should have been gotten, though, in previous destroyers in the working there towards the launching at ships that are just barely on the edge of the circle so that they intercept the torpedoes as they're getting ready to run out of fuel. And that's a tactic that's good to learn in general. It can extend the range at which you can launch torpedoes by several kilometers. Now, Shiratsuyu, unfortunately, doesn't have any camo on, so he's kind of in the way. You got to be careful when shooting over them, but shooting at a Leningrad, we're not terribly worried. Oh, we managed to get a basically a repair there on, or not a repair, but a reset on the cap. Shiratsuyu is doing her thing, launching torpedoes at all of the things. I went ahead and laid a smoke screen here, just backing up to see if maybe this La Galissonière will actually come in and assist. Leningrad's torpedoes are of mild concern, but surprise, there they are. And Leningrad just briefly showing up there in the smoke. Or out of the smoke, actually. So we're going to go ahead and we're launching torpedoes kind of blindly into the smoke with no real regard. Shiratsuyu turning away. But our torpedoes, they're only quad launchers as opposed to the 5 launchers I think it was on Leningrad. And, well, I guess Shiratsuyu has quad launchers, but also has access to the torpedo reload booster. But one thing that we are going to do is we are going to charge in, and it looks like the Shiratsuyu successfully removed the Leningrad from this equation. However, there is Fubuki. And it looks like there is another ship in the smoke. By golly, there is! We got a Gajimata here. Now, one interesting thing about the Gajimata is that its torpedoes cannot hit you as a destroyer. So engaging it is not a huge deal. You can see it was our hydroacoustic that actually brought the Gajimata into vision, and so now it's time to try and gun it down as best we can. And unfortunately, not getting very many good penetrating hits at this point. Well, there's one for 700 some odd damage. Switching back to Fubuki. I no longer really consider Fubuki a threat like I once did. That has since moved on to Akatsuki. Ooh, Colorado is engaging. But you can see we've got AP loaded just to kind of show you what AP can do. There was 1,100 damage. The first salvo was a scant 726 damage, I think it was. The one problem with the AP on board the ship is that it does have a tendency to overpen destroyers fairly readily and easily. And our Shiratsuyu, before going down, manages to take out Fubuki. I don't think Fubuki is going to be terribly happy about that. He's probably going to scream at Yudachi for all of the poi that she just did. So Gajimata is really the only destroyer left on this side. Since we've taken out the Leningrad, that means that there are battleships afoot. And we can easily handle those. Plus we have, I think Gajimata and the Ernst Gaede have a pretty similar detection range. Certainly nothing out of the ordinary. We've got our speed boost popped. We got plenty of ships to shoot at. And really nothing that they're going to be able to effectively do to us. So we're going to run into the cap. And we're going to see if we can't line ourselves up a dev strike on a Normandy. And who knows? It's always a risk. Checking the minimap there, you can see he's turning away, which means any torpedoes that we really launch probably not going to do us a whole lot of good. Was kind of hoping maybe the Gajimata would hang around in the smoke there so that I could torpedo him, but, well, we're going to go after a different target this time then. We're going to go after the Colorado and Mr. Joseph Berkey. And you can see I launched the torpedoes at just the right angle, hoping that he will kind of come and turn in towards us, but I don't think he's actually going to succeed in doing that. But hey, we launched the torpedoes anyway. You never know when you're going to get lucky, as the phrase goes. So we are detected, and unfortunately the Normandy smacks me there pretty heavily. But our torpedoes are running hot, straight, and normal towards the Colorado. Just using this opportunity to kind of throttle jockey him a little bit. Speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down can make it very hard to hit you. And I don't know that we're going to get anything with the Colorado. Bummer. And the Colorado was just out of range anyway, so we kind of knew that that wasn't going to be a realistic... was going to be terribly realistic. Now, of course, Gajimata cannot hit me with torpedoes, and I know he's no longer in the cap, which means we don't need to get in too big of a rush to get out there and find him. However, as you guys know, our torpedoes are back up, and we've got ourselves a Normandy, which is in full retreat from a Scharnhorst. So hopefully we can get lucky with these torpedoes. Just need them to get up. Launch him. You can see he's accelerating, so we want to launch him ahead. And we're just going to kind of sit and wait for him to go. Hoping that he just keeps running hot, straight, and normal. You can see the Colorado there finally turning in. Okay, the Normandy is kind of sort of maneuvering, but kind of sort of not maneuvering. Well, this could be a recipe for either good things or bad things if you're the Normandy. I'm hoping for the bad things for the Normandy and the good things for me. So I went ahead and deployed smoke while in full reverse, seeing if we can't maybe get a fire and bait out a damage control party before the torpedoes get there, but... Oh. One torpedo hit, 2 torpedo hit, 3 torpedo hit, 4... No, it ran out of juice right before with no... Oh, we did get 1 flood, but he unfortunately was able to burn his repair. However, 3 torpedo hits and a flood that forced a repair if I can get a fire on him, like that one, which with these 6-inch guns is actually really quite easy to do. You know, you start stacking up the damage really quick, and that's one of those things that's really not well easy to figure out if you are, you know, when the damage per minute calculations is the number of fires that can be accomplished with that. You know, it's much easier to achieve a large number of fires when you have 12% fire chance versus the, you know, the 5 with 6% fire chance that it was. So that helps stack up the damage. You can see we're up to 52,000 damage here. And we got ourselves a Colorado that's sailing backwards. Oh, we're detected by the Miyoko. The God particle, as the name says. Oh, look, a smoke cloud. I wonder what that could be. So, the Colorado... We've got some choices to make because, well, that Miyoko can definitely put the hurt on us. Trying to bait yet another fire on that Normandy for the kill would be nice. However, no such luck. However, what we do have is a Miyoko sailing broadside. Now, Miyoko really shouldn't really be this aggressive with him, but as you can see, he's easy to citadel. So Miyoko, well, now he's starting to turn away, but... yeah, that time we just flat out missed, so now we're going to turn away. We're going to use our WASD hacks to get him, and while he's distracted, he's going to eat torpedoes from the Scharnhorst. So good team play there. And that Gajimata is still in that smoke, and that Normandy is still alive. Well, there's Gajimata Torps. And at least we know where he's at, which means we've got Lyon, Colorado, and a Normandy over here that have no destroyer escort at all. This Colorado is coming in hot and heavy. You can see he's going to intersect our outer circle there of our torpedoes, so we can launch them. I launched them in such a way that I think he's going to turn, which is mostly towards the Scharnhorst there. And then we quickly make a break for the cover while simultaneously engaging the Gajimata. Of course, one thing to remember, AP on broadside destroyers, even at this range, not always the most reliable. And of course, La Galissoniere finishes him off. So what about the Colorado? Well, there's the Normandy. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. I want to see the torpedoes that I fired at the Colorado, dang it. Looks like we're going to get none. Dang it. Oh, we're going to get some. We got 2 there. And they came with floods. So again, I'm perfectly content with the way that worked out. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pop our smoke. We're gonna see if we can't get ourselves the Colorado burning. 79,677 damage. Still no kills in this match yet. Oh, for Pete's sake, Smoke Cloud, conceal me. Oh, look what he's doing though. Haha. So we know he's starting to turn out a little bit. This gives you 2 distinct advantages. Number 1, your AP really hurts broadside battleships. That was 4K damage right there. Okay, so we went ahead and we launched our torpedoes. First set just ahead of the marker, second set at the marker. That way if he turns away, we'll know. Look at that 4,800 damage, holy cow. Colorado, 90,000, what? Oh my goodness. No kills in this match. So some of the things I really want to point out with this match is we would have definitely gotten that Colorado had the match actually allowed us to. And overall, you know, I think Ernst Gaede's performance, you can kind of see the play style and how you can use the hydroacoustic to root out torpedoes and destroyers and use their smoke against them. But you got good torpedoes to take advantage of as well. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.